Okay, welcome back everybody. Chapter 3. It's Jeremy back with you. Give you the action items for the chapter. Before I do that, I just had two things I didn't include in the last chapter. One is I glossed over it a couple of times, is Adobe Creative Cloud. It's a service you can get online for $29 a month, and you can have access to Photoshop, to Fireworks, all the Adobe programs. So if you're looking for a low-cost alternative, that's a good one. And it's good for creating specs and documents and things like that, especially if you know how to use Photoshop. The second one is the app review. So app reviews are very important, and when people are in the app, you want them to actually go to your iTunes page and review your app. So you probably have seen in a lot of apps you do. When you're using the app, it'll say like, if you love this app, click yes. And if you click yes, it'll take you to the page to actually review the app. If you click no, nothing really happens. So that's a good thing you probably would want to include in your spec. Okay, chapter 3, action items are 1, to post the job on Elance. You have a spec and you have a style tile, so now it's time to post a job. 2 is hire a developer. 3, get a GitHub account. We'll talk about that. 4 is a Phonegap account. 5 is a hosting account if you need just a regular web hosting account, which you do. And 6, final thing, is how to set up and test locally on your machine. I'm going to show you how to do all that stuff now. So we're going to do a lot more screen sharing on this one, and let's just get started. So the first thing I want to show you is this, which is a document that's included in the documents below. It's called Mobile App Building Platforms. And I'm just going to go over this real quick. There are about 60 of the in here. And you can go through and it'll tell you how much it costs. And these are if you want to kind of program your own app and drag and drop things. I don't use these, so I don't have a lot of knowledge in it. I just kind of compiled this document together with the costs and things like that. So if you're into that, if you're looking for other alternatives than hiring somebody, you can use this. The second document attached to our chapter is the sample job posting. So I have a sample job posting that I use, and it's a boilerplate, and I think you should use a lot of it because basically all you'll really need to add to it are specifics to your project and like your logins and your passwords and stuff like that. But right here it says required programming, and this is the programming that we have to make sure our developers use. Your developers that you hire might try to pull a fast one on you. They might try to say, well, you need to program this for iOS and you need to program it for Android. That is not the case. You only need one, so don't listen to that advice. This is, I've just found it that everyone I've hired has always tried to do that to me, and I know very well. And we can talk in the weekly call to make sure there's nothing. I mean, if you have a very complex game, maybe you do need an iOS programmer. But for the most part, you probably don't. And we can talk about that in the weekly call. So here's just kind of the required programming and then the build process. And this is very important, and it must follow this. So I'm just going to go through this really quick with you, okay? As a developer, I'm going to show you what I do. So here is a page. It's an index page, and this would just be like a home page. And I'm just going to put a quick little note in here. Note. Okay, and I'm going to save that. So if I were the programmer and I was programming your web page, I would work like this in a page, and you know, here's all the code. You can see it. It might not mean anything to you. That's fine. So after I make a change here, I am connected to GitHub. And GitHub is a repository. It stores all your code, all your versioning, and things like that. So if there's an earthquake or a flood, it's backed up on the internet. And this is what you do. You can sign up for a free account, or if you want a private repository, it's $7.99 a month. I pay $7.99 a month. Here's my private account right here. So my files are stored here. When I make a change to this page, when I added the note here, there is a program called GitHub. And there is my shoe swipe app. And if you'll notice right here, I just changed that index file, and I just put a note in there. So all I need to do is go note added, and I just commit this change. And you're not going to be doing this, but your developer is going to be doing this. So I just want to show it to you so you know exactly what you're asking for them. So now I've committed that. Whoops, excuse me, I click this one, sync, and then my changes are being pushed to the internet. And if you notice, here's, let's find that, index right here. The last time I changed it was on 12/5. So if we refresh this, boom, note added 31 seconds ago. So you can see that the change I made just made it to GitHub. So this is how your developers are going to work. They're going to work locally, they're going to check it into Git, and you're going to see the changes. Now, here's where you come involved. You get a Phonegap build account, build.phonegap.com. And what you do with this is you create your site here. So you're gonna link your Phonegap build to GitHub. So if I were to add a new account, I'm not going to do that right now, but if I were to add a new account, it would say, what's your GitHub name? And it would connect the two together. And when we do that, what ends up happening is we just kind of have our page here, and you'll see this QR code over here on the right. And right here, there's a button that says update code. So if we click that, that's going to pull the latest code from GitHub, and it's going to, that goes out, and it actually fetches all the code that we have just pushed up to GitHub. So the latest code is now being built. And when we talk about being built, what this is doing is, if you notice right here down in the corner iOS, it's actually going to build a file that is it's a .apk file, which is basically what an app is. And then Android builds a file as well. So you're getting two files built here. Now, what we do is, once these are done being built, it'll take a few minutes to cycle up, but I'll just show you. So you just take your phone, you point it at the barcode. You need to get a QR code reader for your phone. You just point it there, boom. Yes, I want to install, and it starts installing on my device. So now I have a situation, so when your developers push this up, every morning you can get on here and just scan your QR code and upload the latest to your phone and start testing it. So it's really easy, and it's a good way to just manage the development process. The code's on GitHub, the build is at Phonegap build, and you can get it on your device very easily. Now, the second one is to use Google Chrome. Now, I don't know what browser you use. Maybe you use Firefox or Internet Explorer, but you need to get Google Chrome. You have to. I'm making you. Kidding, but you really do need to. It is the best browser out there, specifically because it has Chrome developer tools, and it has an emulator to emulate all the phones that you need. So what you can do is you can have your developer FTP basically move all the files to your web address. So now when we test in Google Chrome, what we'll do is we'll just hit a web URL address. So if you look on my screen now, you can see my shoopswipe.com page, and this is actually the code that runs on the phone. It looks different because it runs in the browser, but watch what happens. We right click, we hit inspect element, and this is going to open up the web inspector. And it doesn't look much better now, but if you look up here in the top left-hand corner, you can see all the different devices. There's Samsung Galaxies, there's iPhones. So let's try an iPhone 6. And after we do that, we just need to refresh it to reload it. And once it reloads, this is exactly what it looks like in an iPhone 5. So you can see, and we can test away with it. We can use this button. We can click the star for the favorites. If you notice kind of over here, you'll notice that data changes out. That's just code that we have in there for testing purposes, like developer testing. But there's all different kinds of things you could do with the web inspector. So this is a good way to test as well. So you can just do it locally. If you want to see what it looks like on a Samsung Galaxy S3, there's what it looks like on a Samsung. So you can test all these different devices out. So if you have an iPhone and you want to test on an Android, you can do it this way. And this is a great way to do it as well. The next action item we have is, let's talk about job postings. Let's go back to the sample job posting. So we have a build process. that we just showed you and everything, and that's good. So here's basically your job posting, and you just attach everything to it. The next document you want to attach to it is a good document. It's in the documents below. It's the hours estimate document. And this is just a document I put together of all of the things that the developer should estimate against. So basically you're going to send them a spec, a job posting, and an hours estimate document. And then what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, I want the job. I filled out your hours estimates form, and here's how long it's going to take. So a lot of the people, you're going to get a lot of responses on Elance from people, and they're going to be boilerplate. This is a good way to weed people out. The people that actually fill out your document and bring it back to you, those are going to be quality people because they can follow instructions, some basic instructions, so they'll be good developers. This thing has all kinds of stuff on it, and a lot of it's boilerplate. If you need a database, there's a database. If you need a Facebook login, and you can just kind of come in here and you can add things or get rid of things. And then that's basically it. So you'll have those three things to post. You'll have a job posting, you'll have the hours estimate, and you'll have your spec. Of 4, you'll have your style tile as well. And once you select a developer, then they can start putting things into GitHub. You can build it through Phonegap Build. You can put it onto your phone with the QR code. You can test it in the browser. So you have a whole thing going now as far as how you can test and get back and forth with your developer and communicate with your developer. Speaking of communication, the best way to communicate with the developer I have found is through Elance. They have just kind of Elance or Skype. I like to interview via Skype. I did also include some interview questions to ask. So you'll want to go through that list and ask the candidates those questions. And then you can do it through Skype. What I found is when I hire people, say in India or the Philippines or something like that, it's usually at about 5 or 6 o'clock my time. I'm in San Francisco. I assign work to them for the day, and then they get in around 7 or 8. And then by the time I get to work in the morning, they've kind of have finished. So there's kind of this cycle that goes through, and then I can test during the day, tell them what worked and what didn't. They can go through my night. It's actually a very nice cycle. You do need to be a little patient with it because I've found that a lot of the developers, they kind of do half work and just send it over to you like, oh, what do you think? Instead of like sending the final product and then getting you to review it. So just be patient with that. When you hire the developers, you can hire an individual, you can hire a firm. It's really up to you. I recommend hiring an individual and paying just a little bit more. And again, everything's negotiable on this stuff. So again, the action items for the chapter are post your job on Elance, hire a developer, go through and hire them, interview them, all that stuff. Create a GitHub account now, get an Adobe Phonegap account now. You need a hosting account, so definitely get a hosting account so you can send that information with your final job posting. Oh, don't put your login and password in your job posting. Just wait till you hire a developer. Sorry about that. And get Google Chrome and just start messing around with that and maybe start set up and testing some stuff with that. And that's it for this chapter. I'll see you in the next chapter, and keep it going.